Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are, and welcome to another NerdTube Star Trek episode review. We're here this week talking about Lower Decks final season episode 4, A Farewell to Farms. It wouldn't be a Trek review here on NerdTube if I wasn't joined by my two ever-present Trekkies in arms, Cheeto and Zam. How are you, gentlemen?
Fine, thank you. Decided to wear a Star Trek shirt finally for a Star Trek review.
Doing okay. Happy to be here.
Glad to have you both with us. So a little bit of a different start to this episode this week. A little bit of a departure maybe from what we've been seeing the past couple of weeks with only two major plot runners. Let's start with some overall impressions. Cheeto, you're in the spot. What were your overall thoughts about this episode?
Yeah, this episode had the highest highs of the season so far and the lowest lows of the season so far. And I mean, I'm pretty sure everyone can kind of figure out where I'm coming from with that, but we'll get into that as we get into it. So yeah, very mixed bag for me this week.
Fair enough. I believe I know what aspect you didn't like about the episode, but when we get to that plot runner, we'll go more into that. How about you, Zam?
This episode had its moments, but just to cut to the chase, I think this is probably the worst episode of Lower Decks I've ever seen.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Okay, I can't wait to hear why.
Yeah, I won't go on too much. I'll let you continue still, but I'm not necessarily saying what gripes me will necessarily gripe others. This is just a personal opinion on how I felt about the episode.
Wow. Okay.
You're allowed to have preferences. It's okay. I'm surprised.
Absolutely.
I honestly thought you would like this episode more than I did.
No, it wasn't for me.
Yeah.
So this episode started with our focus being on Mock, the Klingon captain from last season who had his ship mutiny on him and ended up having to cooperate with Mariner on the planet where they were stuck. She has been trying to contact him as he works on a farm and eventually finds him and tries to talk him into getting his captaincy back. The other runner of this episode was Dr. Miglimo, the captain, and Tendi and Rutherford having to deal with what feel like Cloacan diplomats, but are actually just food critics. In a kind of comedy of errors sort of situation. So we will just go with the first plot, the Mariner and Boimler plot first. What do we think of Boimler's increased confidence? As the beard grows, the confidence seems to be growing. Cheeto, how do you feel about that aspect of this week's episode?
I'm liking the bearded Boimler, the bearded Boimler growth. And I'm not just talking about the beard. I mean, I feel like in the season, they're really expanding on him. They're really, even though it's a part of the comedy aspect, they're still like, working his character, which I think is good. And I think that this is a good character arc. Yeah, I mean, I think that the growing of the beard, I don't know if I'm going to like Boimler with a beard, but I mean, I like the arc that he's going through. So just one or two comments here from Daniel Vance. He says, I wonder how many Golden Glasses award winners will be on the panel tonight. Three. There are, because Zam has won his own Golden Glasses award, as well as me and Major Rage have won our own Golden Glasses award. So you have the full gamut today, baby. It also says, I feel like the taste testers and was fed shit with regard to this episode. Oh, I feel like the taste testers and was fed shit. You know what? I don't disagree with you in regards to that plot line. And as I said, that's pretty significant down on, like, as I said, we got the high. For me, it's the highest high and the lowest low of this season so far. The bird planet of Kolowak sounds too much like Cloaca. I don't know how to pronounce that. Huh? Cloaca to be a coincidence. If you're unfamiliar, try a Google image search. All right. Anyway, pass it to you, Zam. I'm sorry, Mage. Go ahead.
No, it is a crass pun. It's a good crass pun, in my opinion, but I can see why a poop joke would... It's basically a bird poop joke, and I can see how it would rub Daniel Vance the wrong way. Zam, how do you feel about the Boimler development this season?
Well, the development of his beard.
The beard paralleling him.
Maybe I would have liked this more adventurous Boimler maybe a season earlier as we progress into this final season. So it feels like we're getting to see a new side of Boimler, and we're not going to spend much time with him because the show's almost over. So that's my only gripe with it, to tell you the truth. But fair enough. We'll see how it goes. He's obviously.
The only thing is that when they were doing this, they didn't know it was the final season. Unfortunately,
no, I get it, and that also plays a part in all of this. But it wasn't just an episode or two ago where he was skiing off a cliff and he was scared to death, and now all of a sudden, he's willing to take life by the Curlies. So yeah, we'll see how he progresses. I think as long as he keeps his beard, I can imagine in one episode somebody shaves him and he, like I said, they do the Samson trick on him, and all of a sudden he doesn't feel like he's worthy or strong enough anymore because he needs that facial hair. So we'll see if that happens. Hopefully not, because they're building up to him having a beard.
Yeah, I kind of feel where you're going with the not getting to spend much time with him. And I also kind of see your point. The development seems to be happening very, very rapidly. Feel like the rapid acceleration is, though, a side effect of the sudden cancellation news.
There's a couple of comments here. Rick B, I had more than only one gripe. Yeah, likewise. The one real belly laugh this episode came from, like, how do you say that? Cloacan. Cloacan utensils.
Cloacan.
Being used like mother bird feeding a baby. Fair enough. Hello, Lord Donkey. All right, let's go. And a cheers from D. All right.
So lots of Klingon stuff this episode. Some nods back to previous kind of rites that we've seen in at TNG and DS9, as well as some new ones that we've seen added in just for this episode, like wrangling a huge targ for a feat of strength. I really enjoyed the segment with the pain sticks and thought that the solution Boimler came up with was a pretty clever one.
Is that real science right there? I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, distribution of energy. So yeah, I mean, I'm not an electrician, so I don't know if that really works, but I assume that the distribution of energy over all four of their bodies would make sense. That's what Google's for.
Fair enough.
We should look it up.
I take Boimler at his word.
But the surprise comes when Mock chooses himself when he's faced with the final challenge, and that is choosing someone of his four compatriots to sacrifice.
I was not surprised by that at all. I knew that's exactly where that was going.
I was more wondering why, and then we got the reveal that he just does not want to be part of this general's fleet and would rather not be in command again. Then we get to the Boimler speech. about going to the Titan and it not being right for him and him coming back. I kind of liked that moment. What did you guys think about Boimler's speech? We'll start with Sam this time.
If you don't mind, like, what I really want to say regarding some of this episode, and I will get to Boimler's speech, which I vaguely remember, to tell you the truth. I'm not even sure what you're on about because my attention waned in this episode. I was on my phone a couple of times. That's how bad this episode was, as far as I was concerned, and that shouldn't be the case. But I really needed a previously of for this episode because we're talking about a character that I knew that this character had been in Lower Decks in the past, but I just don't remember shit about them. And I needed a recap prior to this episode beginning so I could maybe feel something towards this character, these Klingon characters I'm talking about. And we never got any of that. So I had no idea. I didn't give a fuck about these people. And even when Boimler and Mariner came along, they didn't really add much because it really wasn't focused on them. It was focused on these Klingons. They were like the main characters. Boimler and Mariner were like the co-stars of their own show. Fair enough. It's a nice way of doing things at times, but I just don't know anything about these people, and I didn't really care. And so, unfortunately, Boimler's speech, it went over my head, but I have no fucking idea about it.
No, I get what you mean about the needing a previously on, because it took my second watch for me to really click, oh yeah, it's him from that planet where they were stranded together and had to learn to work together. It took me to the second watch to get it. So I completely feel you there. Cheeto?
I mean, I really... I mean, with the speech, I mean, that was fine, you know. I mean, I didn't think it was anything special or anything in particularly awesome. But I mean, it was another chance for Boimler's. I know I can never. I know I can't. But it was another chance for his growth to kind of shine through, and I feel like it did. I mean, just in general, I enjoyed I was actually glued to my screen watching the Klingon stuff because I thought it was really good. You know, like I think all the Klingon stuff was really good this week. And I do, again, I agree with Zam that previously on would have helped. Now I knew where these characters were coming from, but I also don't blame Zam for being like, I needed a previously to remember who the hell these guys are. You know what I mean? Like I almost forgot that that one of the guys on the council on the what is it, the overseeing council or whatever, one of those three was actually the Klingon that was with Mariner in like one of the early episodes of Lower Decks. I'm like, is that kind of maybe? I think, and then I had to go back and look. Like it was, and I don't remember his name, but
early seasons.
Yeah, like season 1, episode 2 or 3, I think. Remember when Mariner and Boimler are kind of on their first mission together? They were an envoy for the Klingon, like a Klingon representative or something like that, and he like stole their shuttlecraft and went off and got drunk somewhere. You know, that was like one of the best episodes to open it up. I loved it.
I'm gonna have to probably go on a rewatch after this season's over.
And also, by the way, RJ Mnemonic?
Mnemonic. Like Johnny Mnemonic, but Mnemonic.
Well, thank you for joining us here. If you haven't already, please hit the like button and consider subscribing if you like what you see here. We talk about many nerdy things.
And just give you comments on this episode as well. We'd like to know what your opinions are.
Absolutely. Do you want? Let me run through a couple of the comments here really quick before we move on.
Yeah.
So Lord Donkey says, I don't know if we hit this comment yet or not. That mustache was a choice so bad. It did look pretty bad, but I mean, how many people like when you're actually growing a beard or like it never looks like good unless you're like Italian. He says hello.
I think
they should have all been touching the. Huh?
I think that was the point that it was supposed to look bad. It wasn't supposed to look good, you know, as he's growing it.
Yeah,
so.
probably not. Yeah. Okay, Daniel Vance says, and this is in regards to the pain sticks and the energy distribution. He said they should have all been touching the ground, though. The one carrying them would be the only ground and feel it more. So yeah, so there we go. Daniel Vance knows what he's talking about. Not only do I take Boimler, but I take Daniel Vance at his word. I most enjoyed the Klingon part. It would make for a good spin-off, and Boim's stationed there long term. I would love that. I even if it's just like an animated long trek, I think that would be awesome. He's telling me just say Boim's. I can try. We already talked about that. Lord Donkey says welcome, RJ. Also, Daniel Vance says cheers. And it's actually pronounced Memnock. So Memnock.
Memnock.
No worries. Are you racing while also watching the episode? No, reacting while watching the episode. No, we've already watched the episode. We're just kind of giving our thoughts. And Memnock says, gotta say, Tendi is my favorite character. Which character is your guys' favorites? For me, Shax. For me, it's a tie between Mariner and Boimler, honest and truly.
Same here. A little basic, I know, but
yeah, but they're good characters, and all four of them. Let me be clear: all four of them are good. Like they are all four. Tendi, Rutherford, Boimler, and Mariner are all great characters. But I just feel like those two really stand out, and it's like the opposite effect of what's her face from Discovery? Why am I losing her name?
Michael Burnham.
Yeah, Michael Burnham. It's the opposite Michael Burnham effect, where it's like, yeah, they do focus on these two characters almost exclusive. Well, not almost exclusively, but a lot. But like they do it in a good way, and everybody gets a chance to shine. I feel like Lord Donkey sends Rutherford for me. That is not a shock at all.
I also like Ransom as well. I think
Ransom's great. As I said, there's a lot of good characters. But Dana Vance says, I'd have unsubbed if any of you said Badgie. Well, in that case, Mariner is the main character in most people's answer, I think, which is totally fair. I mean, she's a good main character, in my opinion. But all right, Mage, back to you. Sorry, bud.
No need for sorry. We're here to talk with the audience about the episode. We're here to entertain.
We're here to entertain. I'm going to get all Jack Ransom with it.
So it wouldn't be a proper Klingon episode without some good old-fashioned violence, and we have a Klingon fight break out. The Mock ends up getting backstabbed and goes on to kill the general in vengeance, and a pretty brutal scene for an animated comedy, I must say. It's pretty visceral, pretty enjoyable. No complaints about the fight sequence out of me. Did you guys enjoy the fight? Let's start with Cheeto.
Which fight? I'm lost as to which fight you're talking about. I'm sorry. The end where
the bar fight.
Not the bar fight.
No, the very end where.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that was good. It was serviceable. It did remind me a lot of the battle between Worf and Chancellor Gowron. It wasn't a long and drawn out fight, but it was kind of brutal and, very definitive. You know what I mean? Like it was, I've already heard some people complaining of the Prime Directive on, our Federation of it. And I'm like, I could see. So a lot of people are complaining about the Prime Directive with this one. And I could see the reason why is because Worf killed the other Klingon on the Enterprise, and I could see where that could be an issue. He's a Starfleet officer. He killed that other Klingon. It wasn't his brother, was it? Was it? I don't think it was his brother. It was, who did he kill? There was someone that he killed, and it was a part of Klingon tradition, and I don't remember.
It was one of his other brothers, I think, and a different brother.
Okay.
And he was a traitorous brother.
Yeah. So that all happened on the Enterprise D, and and plus Worf is a Starfleet officer. With this fight, I'm like, it was a Klingon on the Klingon homeworld killing another Klingon, I'm like, I don't see where the Prime Directive. If anything, if they were to interfere, it would be against the Prime Directive. I feel like.
Agreed.
So I don't know why people are saying that. I saw one or two other reviews about saying that, and I'm like, I saw someone post it on Facebook. So I'm like, what? I don't understand that. Like, as I said, I feel like if they would have interfered, it would have been a breaking the Prime Directive, not, So yeah, I don't know, but anyway, so. But I thought the fight scene was pretty good. It was pretty brutal for animated, but it felt very Klingon, and that's what I really enjoyed about it. And I honestly expected the fight to end differently. Like, I did not expect the old Klingon to die. I honestly thought that they would be like, oh, he'll learn the error of his ways, or he'll get put in jail for some reason. No, he straight up murdered him. Like, which is
which is the right thing for Klingon, because that guy was dishonorable, constantly
and that's
changing
what I'm
the
saying.
rules.
And I agree. That's what I'm saying. And it's like, I honestly figured something else would happen, but no, he just straight up murdered him. I'm like, yes, that's what should have happened.
What I got parallels from both these plots, the Birdie plot and this plot, is the fact that you're trying to constantly pamper and impress your superiors, and they keep shitting on you, and they keep changing the rules, and that was what both of them, what they both had in common. Comments?
Okay, where was the last? Okay, Badgie, Mariner, Shax.
He's a beast. Yes, he is.
Yep. Lord Donkey says Delta Shift. That's right, Delta Shift. Fucking dirty Delta Shift. Am I right? That's right. Fucking dirty
damn right.
Delta Shift. And then of all the canon things this series has given the Star Trek universe, that's what people choose to complain about. Which part?
Arguing that they were violating the Prime Directive in any
way. I wouldn't say that's
episode.
Canon. Like, that's not arguing canon. That's just arguing what the Prime Directive is and whether it was against it. And you're right. Like, people shouldn't be arguing that because. But again, I go into Lower Decks calling it loose canon. Like, I don't, unless it really, really breaks canon. I let it kind of roll off my back.
Yeah, fair enough.
Zam, what did you think about the fight scene?
As I said earlier, I was happy with the outcome because the dishonor that elder Klingon was showing meant he deserved death. If we're going by how Klingons do their shit, he was very dishonorable. Constantly changing the rules. This guy's all this guy wants to do is become captain again, and be able to be in charge of his own ship, and he's giving him shit for it. And if anything, this elder Klingon should have shown the respect to this young guy who's going through all these adversity just to get back his position. So for him to change the rules all the time, I'm glad he's dead. He deserved it.
Fuck the Klingons.
Yes, they deserve to die, and I hope they burn in hell.
Yeah.
Okay, so the final part of this plot runner comes at the conclusion in the bar, where we find out that Mariner had a ulterior motive in getting Mock back in command. She needed help from somebody with a captaincy to get permission to scan a dimensional hole. And after the scans, it seems that someone is making them. They're not naturally occurring. So they are dropping a season overarching plot on us at the end of the 4th episode.
Well, I think they mentioned something about it last week too at the end of the episode. So I'm pretty sure that there was mention of a rift
with the small Starfleet.
No, was that episode 2? No, that was episode 2. I thought
that was episode 3.
Was it episode 3? Okay, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry.
I was just going to say, so it turns out that this is going to be our overarching season threat. do you guys think there's enough time to resolve something like that, or would they have been best served just
Oh
keeping it
yeah,
episodic?
5
Plenty of time.
episodes. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. If this, remember, this is starting on episode 4, so we just got a tiny teaser of it, which they can expand on in episode 5, 6, 7, and by 8, and 8 even, and by 9 and 10 they can conclude it.
I think, I mean, they did that last season with Lacarna. Like, I mean, they gave us little snippets of the overarching, which was the ship just kept on like supposedly blowing up all these other races' ships, and we actually didn't get the resolution until episodes 9 and 10. So I mean, I think they've got plenty of time. I mean, my thing is who's doing it? Do we think it's like, because they always like to do a deep cut or so, like Lacarna, like from last season. They always like to do some kind of deep cut as like the overarching. So I mean, do we think it's like, I think it would be hilarious if it's like someone from the Mirror Universe, like Kira from the Mirror Universe doing it,
Or the Intendant.
Yeah, the Intendant, or like I don't know, or someone from the Kelvin timeline. You know what I mean? Just I don't know, some like I don't know, maybe get some big name actor to come in from one of the movies. And I mean, I don't know if maybe it could, but get Benedict Cumberbatch. It could be Khan from that universe, just screwing with the timelines and stuff like that. Maybe trying to figure something out, or I don't know. I thought it would be interesting. Ooh, yeah. Lord Donkey says Thomas Riker. That's another one. I mean, I think he's supposed to be in jail still, but
the portal is what they'll end on them flying in and curtain call. They'll leave the door open to the crew going wherever they want. For all we know, they'll end up in Starfleet Academy. I don't want them to do like a Discovery sort of thing in season 2, where they went for a portal to go into the future. I don't know. I mean, if anything, I think what a good way to end it would be maybe for all of these guys to go, maybe 1 or 2 stays on the Cerritos, and everybody else has new assignments. People working on a space station or joining a new ship, or maybe Boimler rejoins the Titan again. Things like that. That would be a good way to end it with everyone else.
I think Boimler should go to the Enterprise under Captain Worf, because they've already confirmed that Worf was captaining the Enterprise E when it, at one point. So I think that would, and especially around this time, I mean, it might still be Picard. It just depends on when Picard retired. I'd have to look at the dates.
I wouldn't mind maybe the death of a main character this time. Like, I know we had Shax in season 1, but they ruined that. So maybe Freeman. Maybe. Yeah. Jelly Deals is here. How you doing, my son?
Thanks for joining us, Jelly Deals.
And Daniel Vance says the show might be ending, but some of those characters will find new life in other series. 100%.
Maybe Prodigy. If they're able to mix it up. We already heard the Cerritos mentioned on Prodigy, so that'd be a good way to get animated characters on a different animated show. So even though the animation's different, but still they can make it work.
All I know is it better not be Boimler if he keeps the beard. Prodigy cannot do beards well. Like they put a beard on Chakotay, they put a beard on Wesley. They all looked horrible. I hate it. It looks awful.
But by the way, when I say like seeing these characters on Prodigy, I don't mean them having like a main role. I would like to see guest roles, from these characters. And the only way I would like to see these guys have main roles if they create a new show where, like they did with Picard, where they got 7 of 9 with most of the TNG crew. If they do something along those lines, where you got a new show dedicated to some of these characters from previous shows. So that's the only way I would like to see some of the Lower Decks crew in anything else in the future, as far as them being main characters.
Yeah, I can see that being a good way to go about it. So that's all I have about the A plot. Unless you guys have anything else you wanted to discuss about that one, we can turn our attention to the subplot, which is Dr. Miglamo tending.
All right, I'm out, guys. Bye. I'm out.
Right? You know what they should have called this episode? The subplot: angry fucking birds, because that's what they were. Angry birds. Even when they puffed up at the end, angry birds. Like, shut up, for fuck's sake. I swear that subplot was influenced by that. It felt like it.
Yeah, we've never made it any, or you two have never made it any secret or hid the fact that you're not a fan of Dr. Miglamo. So I knew that you guys weren't going to enjoy that part.
But honestly, it's not even that. Like, I can enjoy a subplot with Miglamo even if, as long as it's good. This was awful. Like, what? Their whole species, the reason why they got war. This is one of those things about Lower Decks, and I'm like, it's loose cannon. Their whole species went to go to space to explore strange new meals. That line right there, I just was like, that's it. Fuck it. I'm out. Like, I can't even with these. I can't even with this subplot. I'm like,
yeah.
I'm sorry. Like, that's the stupidest thing I've heard ever. Like, this plot right here is probably like, if they did a whole episode dedicated to this, I would probably rank this episode like probably like a 2 or a 1. But fortunately, they have like a really good A plot. Though I like the A plot a lot this week. The only redeeming factor of this week is the fact that the A plot is so good. So that means the B plot is forgettable for me.
Right. Strong feelings, Zam.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's one of those things where it's like, oh, you really knocked it out of the park with this, but then you ruin it with this.
Like, first got this Dr. Gigolo, or what the fuck his name is. Like, I don't, you know, like he's also a character who is really infrequently used as somebody who's part of the ship. Like, at least people like Shax and Mariner and Ransom, they might not be in every episode, but they're going to be used in some capacity. Yeah, I would say also the birds, but they're going to be used in some capacity that they are still more renowned enough that that they're recognizable and they got traits about them and stuff like that. This Gigolo guy, like, you might see him once or twice a season, if that. There's nothing to him, unfortunately, nothing too memorable. And having an episode based around this character as well, like, once again, we're focusing on another subpar character whilst our main characters are playing supporting roles, and this time it was Tindy and Rutherford. So yeah, it was. I just didn't give a shit,
dude. And that last fish dish looked like it was straight out of The Simpsons. Like, what?
Yeah,
like Futurama and The Simpsons.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I just didn't care for his situation or whatever. I found it really stupid how they were shitting on him all the time, and the you know, like, it was just so stupid. It really was. It was not remotely funny or humorous.
I agree.
Yeah,
I thought it was. Go ahead, Sam.
Yeah. Like I said, the only thing I found interesting in this episode was how Klingon blood wine's created, but I had no idea it was from those worms. I don't know about you guys.
I actually didn't know that that's how it was created either. I thought it was just some kind of like alcoholic. I thought it was just like the color of blood. You know, that's why they called it blood wine. But you know, it's.
Yeah, so
blood.
Other than that, which was an interesting thing, like, I didn't give a shit about all this food tasting bollocks. It was, yeah.
Yeah. Like, if we could rank these plots individually, the stupid bird one would be a 0. I can't.
And there's no bias from me, but I'm a fucking bird owner. You know, and
you love doing food reviews. Like, this is literally your episode, Zam. Like, I thought that you would love this episode because you're always doing food reviews and you're cooking and you love birds. I'm like, Zam's gonna dig this and I'm gonna shit all over it. Like, no,
and Zam's my birds are eating my food. Yeah, because I can see the wood through the trees and the birds through the feathers. So yeah.
Oh yeah, we got all the puns today. We're punny.
Oh yes, so punny. What I feel is the most sad thing about Dr. Miglamo is what a waste the voice actor is. Paul F. Tompkins is a fantastic comic and a great voice actor, and to waste him on a character that is as subpar as the Doctor and is infrequently used as Dr. Amiglamo, I feel is just a travesty. But I'm just a huge Paul F. Tompkins stan. Mr. Peanut Butter from BoJack Horseman, the open mic night guy from the old Tenacious D show and movies.
That's Jack Black's partner.
Not Kyle Gass. Yeah, not the partner
Okay.
in there, but the guy that runs the open mic that they always come to, and he has to read the introductions they write. I feel like it's a big waste.
His character, like that character, is a big waste. I'm not saying the voice actor, but the character is. Miglimo is not, for me, not enduring at all. He is annoying. He is stupid. He's not well written, in my opinion. Even he's not even likable in the littlest sense. I just don't like. Whenever he shows up on the screen, I'm just like, why? Why are you here? Like all of the worst parts of Deanna Troy's like character are like infused in Miglimo, and like none of the good from Deanna Troy.
I also agree. Like, this is a character where if he didn't show up this season, we wouldn't have missed him. And I would rather he played a supporting role than the main role, if anything.
Yeah, it was kind of a shame to have Tindy and Rutherford be in the background of it, even though they're the ones who ended up figuring everything out and saving his ass in the end.
As usual. Well, once again, to a degree, there's no harm in letting the main characters play the supporting role, but you got to nail it, and they didn't. For both plots, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I don't really have anything to disagree with about the B plot. I'm kind of on the same page with you fellas.
Even feeding them shit at the end, like, yeah, I might have smiled a little bit, but like, it was just like
when did they switch it? That's what I was trying to figure out. Like when I didn't watch it a second time, so I didn't have a chance to go back and look. But like, when did they switch out the oyster things for like the shit ones?
It never shows. It never shows. It's so rushed that they just expect us to take it at face value, and that they did it.
It was fun when him and the captain got Tuvixed. What was that? That was the beginning of last season, right? The Tuvixed episode?
I think so, yeah.
Lord Donkey also says, the blood wine made me think of Strange New Worlds when Spock's getting drunk on it. This is true. And then before that, it says, Daniel Vance says, I do want to give props to the cold opening. It was actually, the cold opening was really good. I meant to mention that earlier, but I was fuming at the whole Miglimo thing that I just kind of forgot. That was wholly different from everything else Lower Decks has presented. It is true. It was a great open. I loved it. I thought it was, I'm like, what are we doing now? And why am I so engrossed in this?
It was artistic and it was engrossing. That was a good choice of words there, Cheeto. Engrossed. Mm-hmm. Any thoughts about the cold opening, Zam, while we're discussing it?
It was nice. It was a little bit picturesque and all of that, but I would have taken it previously over the cold opening.
Fair enough.
I think they should have had both.
Yeah, could have had both. Easily.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like there wasn't extra runtime for the episode. It was only 26:57 with end credits.
And I mean, we could have just done without the entire Miglimo thing. So, I mean, you could have had a really long previously on.
I would have felt a lot more for our characters if I just knew a little bit more about them. I felt, I couldn't find the attachment to the main plot and the subplot. And even though I knew more of the subplot character in Gigolo, I didn't know fuck all about the Klingons. I couldn't remember them to save my life. I knew they were in the previous episode, but I just couldn't nail it. Couldn't remember it.
Okay, so do we have any final thoughts, or do we want to move to poll and marks? Because I don't really have anything else. Let's mark it.
Yeah.
Let's start with you, Zam, while Cheeto throws up the poll.
This is going to be a mark I never thought I'd give Lower Decks ever. But this episode for me was so poor in every aspect, other than maybe a couple of moments here or there. But that does not save this episode at all. A little wry smile, a little laugh doesn't do shit. This was if Lower Decks is making me want to go on my phone and not watch the episode, and just check messages and shit, and you're doing a bad job. This is getting a 3 out of 10.
Wow. I can see where you're coming from, though, Cousin Cheeto.
So I'm going in between. I'm going in between a 6 and a 7. I'm only torn because of the Miggly Moo stuff. Honestly, if the Miggly Moo stuff wasn't here, it'd probably be an 8 or a 9 because I really love the Klingon stuff. I just can't because it is included here. I just can't let it go by. But I'm just trying to figure out if I'm docking 1 point or 2 points. And I'm going to have to dock 2 because I really hated it. So I'm going to give this a 6. I as much as I loved the Klingon stuff, the Miggly Moo stuff just sucked so much that it ripped the entire thing, just the entire momentum this episode had for me.
Before you give your mark, Mage, this comment here. Listen, D. Me and you, we go way back. Yeah, we really do. But come on, you're all finally beginning to see what Rick B and I've been saying all season. Listen, mate, there's 5 seasons of this show, and I've after 43 episodes, I finally came across my first major dud. Seriously, come on, like when you go through that many episodes, you're gonna come across a dud or two. It doesn't mean that the entire series is crap. So
the only episode I can recall
disagree.
that frustrated me this bad was the peanut hamper one. What was that, last season or the season before? The peanut hamper one on the planet where what was it, the perfect redemption arc or something like that? I didn't like that episode either, and that one I gave a pretty low mark too.
Yeah. And I don't think I've given this show anything below a 7. Every episode I've watched.
I was about to say we usually go anywhere between a 7 and a 9 with Lower Decks.
Maybe
and
10 even.
Yeah, sometimes 10s, but I mean it's so. Yeah, if we get 1 or 2 3s, 4s, 5s in there, I mean, yeah, it's still not. We're not realizing what you guys have been saying. We just have a dud episode now. If every episode is like, it's a 5, it's a 6, it's a 4, it's okay, maybe after like 5 or 6 episodes, we'd be like, okay, maybe you're right. Maybe this show has lost its, charm. But you can't sit there and say after 1 dud, you're like, oh, we're finally realizing what Daniel Vance and Rick B have been saying. No, sorry. No, not there. I will still be looking forward to next week and hopefully the perfect redemption arc for Lower Decks.
Likewise.
I will be here. I will always be there for it to the very end. But I'm going to have to give this episode a lower mark than I've been giving the others this season. It's definitely been the weakest episode so far. Even though I'm a big Paul F. Tompkins stan and usually kind of like the Miglamo stuff, I didn't enjoy that plot runner. I feel like having him in the forefront was a mistake, like both of you guys have stated. Did enjoy the A plot runner enough to only knock it the 3 points. I'm going to land on a 7 for this episode.
Well, that's still pretty positive considering how negative you were sounding. I thought you were going to give it a 5.
Let's knock it to a 6. I was pretty negative sounding. It was a complete waste of Paul F. Tompkins this episode, and I imagine he's hard to get a hold of. That might be why they use him so infrequently. So
fair enough. Yeah, makes sense.
That's been our review of Lower Decks Season 5, Episode 4. Looking forward to seeing what the audience thinks in our poll. Been grateful for all your comments in the chat.
Go So far, we've got 67% said it's 1 through 4, 17% is 5 through 7, and 17% also said 8 to 9. So
There you go.
Mostly
really an
popular at
interesting
all.
poll.
was really an interesting one. But as was said earlier, we talk about more than just Star Trek here on the channel. So there's lots of nerdy stuff to maybe consider subscribing. We're going to have a Dragon Ball Daima review later this weekend, probably on Saturday, with me and Cheeto. Looking forward to catching that. It's been pleasantly surprising for us. We were walking in kind of tepid, with cold feet maybe to say, but have been genuinely pleased so far with it, I must say. So got that coming on the channel. Tulsa King is still going, right, Zam?
Yeah, apparently there's 10 episodes this season, and we're on episode 9, and last season was only 9 episodes. So it might not be finished just yet, so we might have a week or two of Tulsa King, as well as The Lioness, which I really, really recommend people watch. Season 2 is so good. The action scenes are fantastic. And there's even another show I might review the season once it's over with fantastic action scenes called Gangs of London. Like, we're talking movie level action scenes, you know. So yeah, highly recommend these shows that I'm watching, as well as The Penguin, of course. Who
I was
could
about to
forget
say,
that?
and the Penguins coming to an end this upcoming weekend, so we're probably going to be talking about that next week.
Lots
Yeah.
of stuff coming down the line.
Yeah, enjoying. And me too, Dave. But those, like I said, those action scenes are. When I found that Gareth Evans, you know, who made the Raid movies, was directing it, I was like, you know, it felt like it had his signature on it, and it makes sense now because yeah, it smelled like the south end of Northbound Targ. Do you know what he means by that? Is that some?
I
Yeah,
mean,
Penguin is
just
really,
saying it smells
yeah,
like a Targ's anus.
fair enough. Let's not forget Mariner's line is really interesting hole. Oh yes.
Yeah, we already talked about
Of
that.
course Donkey would say that. He loves orifices. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Oh, plenty to be worth subscribing to NerdTube for. I want to thank the audience. I want to thank my co-hosts, Cousin Cheeto and Unwell Zam. Thank you for being here despite being under the weather still, my friend.
What do you say you're at? You were at 85% yesterday. What are you at today?
Maybe 1995. I mean,
Yeah, we're almost back.
Woohoo!
yeah.
Improvement.
I feel like Randy Orton's shoulder back in the day when he was like with the mobility, and you remember that? Yeah.
Yes.
No. Yeah. There we go. Good. So yeah, and who knows? We might do World Gone Insane tomorrow. We might do. We'll see how. We'll just see how we feel. Watch this space.
Definitely watch this space. Subscribe to this space. Hit the bell icon so you never miss a NerdTube video. Until next time, you've been watching NerdTube, the best social media channel that you maybe sort of kind of heard of. Live long and prosper.
Bye-bye.